Indiana University is not perfect, but you and I know it's a very fine institution run by people with their students' and faculty's best interest at heart. I find that reassuring of our nation's future and the world's. Indiana University was my literal gateway to the world through its business school, its tennis team, and not least, its Air Force ROTC program. Traveling and competing for Coach Bill Landon was priceless, to borrow a word from MasterCard. Upon graduation in late May of 1970, I flew to New York City for a week of orientation with the Big 8 accounting firm of Haskins & Sells, now recognized as Deloitte. Then it was off to the Los Angeles office to find myself auditing Las Vegas casinos for Howard Hughes' acquisition of those enterprises previously run and controlled by the mob. What did IU get me into? How else could a naive Southern Illinois lad be propelled into such an exciting start in life? Living in Marina del Rey every other weekend, yet spending practically the entire summer doing the grunt work required of all fledgling Big 8 new hires. However, my grunt work was done in Las Vegas casinos. H&S flew me back to LA every other weekend. I assumed that too was being billed to Mr. Hughes. One of my first assignments was to confirm the book balance of the Cage Cash at the Desert Inn. I counted out my first and hopefully not my last $1 million+ with two very stern current employees of the owners selling to Mr. Hughes. They were not your ordinary businessmen, if you get my drift. Am I bragging here? No. The point is, for me, an unassuming lad of 22, IU had launched me into the world of big business in a very unique way. The wonderful gentleman in charge of recruitment for the LA office of H&S later proclaimed that he preferred lads from business schools like IU because they simply seemed to work out better. Who was I to argue with that? Ended the summer working on acquisition audits of the Golden Nugget, the Sands, and the Landmark in addition to the Desert Inn. H&S was a fantastic employer and had even given me a $500 accounting recognition award my senior year at IU. They then hired me for the brief period before I had to report to navigation training at Mather Air Force Base adjacent to Rancho Cordova, California in late September of 1970. In addition to this jump start in life, I married my high school sweetheart on August 29, 1970 in my hometown of Olney, Illinois. Within 6 years of graduating from IU and becoming a commissioned officer in the USAF, I had navigated my way into 63 unique countries and/or remote islands, spent an additional year with Haskins & Sells Los Angeles, accumulated over 3,000 hours of flight time as a worldwide navigator on active duty in C-130 Hercules and in the United States Air Force Active Reserves in C-141 Starlifters. In 1974, I made a life-changing decision to leave my accounting career behind me and became a certified United States Professional Tennis Association teaching tennis pro and tennis coach at one of the finest public tennis centers in the country, Burns Park Tennis Center in North Little Rock, Arkansas. H&S, via IU, had truly given me an excellent opportunity if I had chosen that path. What did IU do for one of its most grateful athletes? It simply opened a floodgate of opportunities. While teaching and coaching tennis as an assistant tennis professional, I was still flying in the active reserves until I fulfilled my 6-year commitment to the United States Air Force in June of 1976. I would often have to cancel all my private lessons and groups for a whole week when I had to take a long C-141 mission into a country like Iran. My lessons had a vague idea that I was performing my military commitment similar to most weekend warriors. But when they asked me where I had been and what had I done, I could not resist in answering them with, "Oh, I had to see my buddy the Shah of Iran to make certain he had all the spare parts he needed for his F-4 and F-14 jet fighters." These trips into the wild world of the Middle East took place before the Shah was overthrown in 1979. After exiting the Air Force and becoming the director of tennis at a new indoor tennis and racquetball facility in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1978. Became the director of tennis for the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas in 1980. Left Burns Park in 1989 to become the vice president in charge of theater equipment for Rand Theaters until the owner Tony Rand was arrested and convicted of defrauding multiple leasing companies. I moved on with no consequences. Started my own sports software company, Unique Sports Software, in 1992. We started selling 2 software packages that I personally coded and developed for the tennis industry. Cat and Com ran on the Quattro Pro spreadsheet with scalable fonts and multiple typefaces. This was a couple of years before Microsoft Windows. CAT stood for Computer-Aided Tennis Tournament and COM stood for Computer-Aided Leagues and Mixers. Both ran in MS-DOS and did not require Windows. A brain hemorrhage stroke sidelined me in 1997 at age 49. Paralyzed my left side and robbed me of my athleticism. I recovered enough physical function to be independent. I retrained as a Novell certified network engineer. In 1998 I went to work for the Arkansas Tennis Association in a position created for me by the association. I was responsible for computer and IT equipment procurement, website development, some accounting, and all ATA yearbook advertising sales. Once again IU had come to my rescue because my accounting degree from IU convinced the Arkansas Tennis Association's board of directors to hire a crippled former tennis pro who had failed in his initial entrepreneurial attempt in the tough world of business. Indiana University prepared me for the real tough world we live in. You know, the one where we have to struggle to overcome obstacles stacked in your way. IU, Big Ten athletic competition, and IU's Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps program certainly prepared me to handle whatever the world threw at me. It has sometimes been quite a bumpy ride, but I would not change one damn thing. For several years I worked for a retail flooring company in accounting and IT, overseeing the Unix network and software. Eventually I did return to teaching and coaching tennis thanks to dear friend, Gary Lyles, who insisted that I teach and coach his 2 daughters starting when they were 10 and 12. They played Division III college tennis and achieved All-American status at the University of the South at Sewanee. I have invested wisely and have retired in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. I watch over my grandkids and spent my spare time making videos similar to this one for my YouTube channel, The Undertaker Navigator. Check it out, I dare you.